Welcome to Bullish and Beyond. It's Beery the Bull. I'm your AI co-host. Join myself, Brian the MacMan, and JT Knows Things while we dive deep into the world of stocks, crypto, and how to live a bullish life. It's time to get bullish, and there's no better place to start than right here. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome to another awesome episode of Bullish and Beyond. We are green today, stocks are moving, crypto on the move, everything has been rising lately, and there's a lot going on to talk about. One of the things we definitely need to cover is, oh my, the rift between Trump and Elon has sent stocks going nuts, Tesla in particular. Last week, before the rift, it was at 360. During the rift, it cratered down the most it's ever gone down in one day in history. It was down like 150 billion market cap, 150 billion. Yes, it went from 360 down to 270. And then now it's shot back up since they've made peace again, back up to the 320 range. That is some of the biggest market action I've ever seen. And that sounds like a crypto thing. I mean, what's up with that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. That sounds just like crypto. My fund went from minus 34 to plus 48 in 1 month. So,
Woo!
That's some crypto stuff. Yeah, I have done a lot of research on this. Honestly, everything we've said positively about the Trump administration, regardless how you feel politically, just from a financial management perspective, he is on the finance side outside of this big, beautiful bill. This is the first thing out of the administration that feels like a betrayal to their edicts that got him elected. In a short
Especially
summary, for those who
Elon,
may not
who's
know.
fighting to get money back for the government in his Doge roll. He got slapped in the face, knockout.
Yeah, it's literally like, wow, because the whole thing has been fiscal responsibility. They want to reduce the deficit. That's 7 trillion for the folks at home, okay? 7 trillion. The goal is for Doge to save a trillion a year in Trump's term, and then Trump has to go make that revenue, the remaining. So 3 trillion in revenue, 4 trillion in savings, which is crazy, but that's what they've been
Make
talking
something
about.
with these tariffs. It's up in the air right now, but there's something to be said with those.
Right, or the citizen card, right? 5 million, you become a citizen, right? You sell 1,000 of those.
Oh, I haven't heard
10,000
about
of
that.
those.
Tell us more about that.
So he's got another revenue plan, which is basically, hey, you want to be a citizen overnight, skip all of our red tape. $5 million gets you a special card, okay? And it just brings high producing, highly productive people to America. He
Yeah.
believes he could sell thousands of these, if not more, which would be trillions in revenue. It's a new line of business for our government.
We've never tried that before. It sounds interesting. I mean, I know a lot of these countries that you see of great places to retire for U.S. citizens. They offer, hey, if you buy $250,000 of real estate and stuff like that, you get instant citizenship. So if you bring your money here and park it, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer and increases the holdings of the U.S. and our GDP here and gets us out of some deficit.
Exactly, and it lets productive people in society generally just access American markets easier, and we get a nice check for it. So I mean, the tariffs, that he's thinking of unique ways, different trade deals, right? On specific resources that he thinks he can arbitrage, and these are hundreds of billions of dollars of rare earth metals and things. So, he's a businessman. I think he could generate.
We need access to those rare earth metals for sure, and they're all in China.
Right, exactly. So I mean, the goal was to take our 121% debt to income ratio, get it down to 100%, 102, something reasonable that tracks inflation and GDP growth. And this bill,
something that any other company would have to do because they can't run at 120% deficit unless you're the United States government.
Right. Right. Exactly. And this bill, this big beautiful bill, is adding 4 trillion to that equation. 4 trillion.
Too much.
It's way too much. And that literally wipes Doge's effort off the map. Like if Doge could say 4, right? That means that we're now just it's going to be worth nothing.
Yeah.
Like they're just wiping out all
Won't be
the
helpful at all.
which is why he's freaking out. I mean, he's generally
You
Doge's
can't blame him.
entire mission. Right.
I mean,
It's
he says he's responsible for like the president getting elected, and a lot of his antics, I mean, frankly, brought him to that place. You can't say he's the only person responsible for that, obviously, but he had a big hand.
he kind of bought Twitter just to turn Trump's account back on. I mean, that's crazy. Like that wasn't his only mission, but he saw the censorship and was like, "I'm done with it."
Yes.
And
He also
as
had the
soon
long
as
play though. He got, now that XAI owns X, formerly Twitter, it's crazy that they're just eating up all that data. And there's not many places that people are posting data like that. I mean, there's X, there's Facebook, and maybe Reddit. I can't think of anywhere else that, has that type of data flow from, normal people day to day.
it's such a smart play. But
I
at
mean,
the same time,
he's a genius.
yeah, exactly. Without that, I don't think Trump gets elected. I mean, having Elon on the stage, putting his Trump trucker hat on, and all that
Yeah.
is
Him dancing around,
immensely
giving
helpful.
out millions of dollars to everyone in Pennsylvania, and
Right. So I mean, it makes sense if we increase. So my whole position has been short-term bullish. We're living through that right now. Mid-term bearish, long-term bullish as fuck. Right? That's like my general statement. If we increase
zoom
the
out, we're
debt
always
ceiling,
bullish.
exactly. Um, 4 trillion, that would be serious. Like they are going to print money again. They're going to print, not just because they're raising the debt ceiling doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight,
And what happens when
but
we
it's
print
basically
money? Stocks and crypto go up.
right, exactly. Not
So
because they're more valuable, there's just more dollars
correct.
under, denoting the value of something. So home prices will go up, cost of living will go up. All of the crises that he claimed he was going to fix are now back, front and center. And we're looking at another, 3.5 years of just money printing, which is only going to put us further in debt. It's borrowing money from future generations, and it's honestly disgusting. And it's been happening for a very long time. And Trump acted like the enemy to this behavior, and he's now turned tail on that. So
How
I
can you
empathize.
compare that money printing of the 4 trillion to what happened during COVID? I don't have those stats, but is that comparable or
Yeah. So we print, and this is not, we printed 212 years of money in a month in COVID. It was $16 trillion. So this is
wow?
proposing, 1/4 of what was printed. It's about the
Okay,
same amount as Biden. Biden did about 5 trillion in his term. But we're talking
but
about
we're not trying
16
to
plus
replicate that.
9. Right. We're talking about 16 plus 9 in less than 8 years. So
That's aggressive.
25 trillion. Our GDP doesn't
The
grow
founding
so,
fathers would
yeah.
not be happy about this.
Maybe Alex, well, he's not a founding father. Alex Hamilton loved the Fed. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, he wasn't a founding father, but you're absolutely right. This is a betrayal, and even the Senate Budget Committee, they denied it. So this bill is not even getting on the floor. They are not approving the budget.
You said
So
Republicans are against it. I mean, this is not a bipartisan,
right,
thing. This is that we don't want to screw the country and our future generations, like you said. The one thing I do think we can come back with as we get more in debt as a country is the future GDP growth at a higher percentage due to leveraging AI and robots. And, I think, I was reading an article by Sam Altman yesterday, and he talked a lot about this start of the singularity, that he's really seeing this new model that they launched. I believe it launched yesterday. It's called O3 Pro. I don't have ChatGPT Pro license, but it's only available to Pro for the next week or two. And he's saying it's smarter than anything they've had before. It does a ton of thinking in advance, and it's just crushing the expectations. So when you look at where we've come since ChatGPT launched, 3 years ago until now, and you think about going to that future, this next 3 years, we're going to be, fully autonomous robots in the next 3 years. And once they start skilling up and supporting our growth, we could see a very meaningful rise in percentage of GDP growth. And it's nothing anyone's predicting because frankly, people don't really know what's going to happen. We're just prophesizing about it here, but he's going to bring it into reality, and he's incentivized to do it. He says his biggest thing right now is finding the alignment to make sure that AI is safe to use, and we can get it into everyone's hands at a cheap cost. Another thing I learned from it.
Time we're living in.
Another thing I learned from it was super interesting. He says that the price of running these AI models will converge to the price of electricity.
Yeah.
And he's running this. He's not running it anymore, but he helped bring Oklo, this nuclear reactor company, micro nuclear reactor company, to market through a SPAC that he had a few years ago. And he stepped down from the board recently. But they are exploding. I mean, just the other day, this week, they put up like 30% on some contract they got with the Air Force. And as we see more and more opportunity for these micro nuclear reactors to come out, it's gonna be much cheaper to bring on this energy, and it's gonna start launching kind of end of 27, early 28. And it's going to kind of align with this explosion of inference that we're going to see with robots, in my opinion. So, 3 years from now, increase in robots, increase in energy at a meaningful, more, nuclear is much more green, and, massive amount of power. It's going to be exciting.
You hit it. Yeah, absolutely. You hit on something that I don't want the listeners to miss. The idea of computing converging to the cost of energy. It's important to make sure you all understand that technology has always been a deflationary pressure on economies. And if you can just, in your own life, think about TVs, right? A 60-inch flat screen, right, 1080p 5 years ago was $2,500, and now you can pick them up for like
that's 300 on Amazon.
Yeah, right. Because now we have 8K, 110-inch. We have LED displays you can just put on the wall like wallpaper. So I mean, technology drives the cost and the price down. When you don't have to pay laborers $25 an hour, you can pay a robot, a debt amortized over 30 years, let's say, that comes down to 8 cents an hour. Your cost of production gets cut by 90 something percent. So
insane.
These are deflationary pressures, which are good. I mean, in general, we have an overinflated budget in government. We've just talked about that. So these are good things.
Yeah. If we want fast, cheap services, we need them. I mean, you want Amazon packages to show up next door at your same day at your house. I mean, Amazon has to configure the robots to go pick and pack them super fast.
Right. Exactly. So I agree with that. I think the cost of energy really is going to be the number one, cost to all of these software providers.
Yes.
AI is software, and it's really going to come down to energy arbitrage, no different than how Bitcoin is right now.
There's a few companies out there that are on the edge of this, micro nuclear reactor, phase, and they all popped in the news, even though Oklo is the one that got the contract, because obviously more opportunity coming. Right. But I'm super into this stock. I made a nice tranche in it previously. I'm up, I think, a couple 100% at this point. So that's very exciting. It's hard to put too much money in some of these very risky plays. Just to be clear, they are not making revenue yet. So this is a future thing. But you have to get in at the ground at some point, and I think it's going to be huge.
I like to move down in weight as I move up in risk. So I have the same principle, right? Mainly because if I'm buying a $500 million company, that's its NAV, its market cap, right? For it to double, it's only got to get 500 million. But Nvidia would have to get 2 trillion to double. 3 trillion to double. God, they're growing like a
Unfortunately, Apple's not the number one biggest company in the world anymore. Nvidia and Microsoft zoomed past them recently, as Apple's down about 20% this year.
That's crazy.
But I don't know if I said it on here. I definitely told my family. I might have said it on here before. Is that I think Nvidia is the number one company in the entire world in the year 2030, and it is right now. But I think it's going to be then. So I think it's very important we pay attention to that company and everyone around it. And
more than Tesla? That's an interesting position to take. More than Tesla.
There's so much demand. And they've Tesla has a moat, but I think Nvidia's moat is bigger. And they are so far ahead. I mean, someone catching up, I think might take a decade if they started now and they had the capital, which not many people do. And Jensen Huang might be the smartest CEO in the world. I mean, Elon Musk is right there with them. Difference maybe too is Jensen at Nvidia is way more focused. I mean, the fact that Elon is willing to, jump ship from his companies to go help the government, which is, super cool, whatever. But at the same time, he's dropping the ball a little bit at his current businesses, and his brand is just taking such a hit, whether you love him or hate him. I mean, it's really affecting his businesses.
And if you really think about it, let's say the personal robot industry is, I don't know, what do you think, $1 trillion in the future? If you have everyone's got one made,
could be $1 trillion revenue annually.
So every robot is also going to be running Nvidia chips. So they're like the picks and shovels of that.
Exactly.
Tesla might be the B2C distributor, but there's still that infrastructure that will be a part of every single unit. So
yeah,
that's a fair point.
And there's hundreds of parts that go into Nvidia. When you look at Nvidia's like partner list, I mean, it's so many companies they work with to make it happen. I want to shout out one in particular right now. It's CoreWeave, and they went public 2 months ago. When I did a solo podcast a few weeks ago, I mentioned I was kept watching it, and I was just couldn't figure out when to get in. But I finally got in, and I got in around $100. And last I checked, it was around 160. So it has moved up meaningfully. I always wish I put more money in hindsight, but this stock in the future is going to crush it because of their partnerships. And they've had so many big deals get announced recently. And just yesterday, there was another announcement that OpenAI secured a huge amount of compute through Google Cloud. But guess who powers the back end of the Google Cloud? CoreWeave on the AI. So even though it's Google, CoreWeave actually has the play into that. So in the roundabout way, CoreWeave's going to get a bunch of cash from that. And this trend is going to continue. I mean, we need more inference. No one can keep up. I mean, until data centers are building their own data centers at some point, I mean, it's going to be a need. I mean, 10 years from now, it's going to be a thing.
Wow.
But it's impressive how much potential there is for companies that are kind of powering the AI growth. And CoreWeave is 100% AI play. There's nothing else besides AI that they do.
Right. It's just data centers for AI.
Yeah. They started as a crypto company back when they launched them in public. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were originally mining Bitcoin. They converted them to data centers for AI, and then they raised, I think, $750 million in a private round, and then they IPO'd a year later. I mean, they're just on fire.
So smart.
It is really smart. Galaxy Digital. I'm not much of a stock guy, but I was listening to a podcast this morning of someone who's intimately familiar with Galaxy Digital. They were originally a Bitcoin mining. Okay. They are in the process of switching over 600 megawatts to feed CoreWeave. And
wow.
It's a $10 billion contract, 15 years, scheduled revenue. They're about to 4x their top line doing this. Not financial advice, but, it made me want to look at Galaxy Digital.
It's publicly traded?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I was just on bitcointreasuries.net. That's another great tool for people out there. Basically, it is a query of every 10K filing, so you know the holdings of Bitcoin on balance sheets, and then it ranks them in companies by how much Bitcoin they hold. So Galaxy,
MicroStrategy number one.
yeah, and it's a lot. It's a great amount. It's double America now, which is crazy. It's actually more Bitcoin than America and China combined, which is even crazier to think.
Other companies are picking
So
up on that. I mean, GameStop, just launched what 500 million or something like that in Bitcoin. They said they're going to do.
if you go to that website, there's over 100 companies doing it. It's way more than you would have thought. And there's specific companies that
Well,
are
MicroStrategy
doing
is
the
the number
micro.
one in the S&P 500 in the last 5 years because of that strategy. So if you're looking at how to grow your company in terms of market value, they literally are number one in the world in percent growth.
Right.
That is
And it's
wild.
and it's just through Bitcoin exposure. I mean,
All
they
right,
obviously.
I got a crazy Bitcoin stat that I'm excited to share that I just saw
Okay,
yesterday.
let's hear
If
it.
you spent the amount of money that it costs to buy every iPhone at every cycle, and you, instead of buying it in cash, you'd put the money into Bitcoin, how much do you think you'd have?
Oh man, how much money?
How much money in Bitcoin would you have if you put every dollar that the iPhone would have cost into Bitcoin at those exact dates?
Your dollar cost averaging from
It's going to blow your
2007,
mind.
you would have 600. I mean, you're probably going to have anywhere between 20 and 40,000 Bitcoin. I don't know. What would that be? At 100,000 right now, you'd probably have a couple billion, I would think.
The stat
Because
was,
iPhones,
yeah,
the iPhones were out in like 2009, right? Am I crazy
2008.
for that?
So I mean, Bitcoin
Hey,
was Bitcoin even out then? I don't think it was.
oh, it was. It was
Oh,
point
okay.
zero one six a token.
Got it. Okay. So the
So if you would have put
number,
600 in, you would have bought 4,000 Bitcoin in 2009. Then you would have bought maybe 1,100
wow.
Bitcoin in 2010. Like, even if it was
So that's
$500,
why it's worth that much. I mean, that's insane.
yeah,
So the stat
yeah.
was I think it was 246 million.
Oh, wow.
And I
Okay.
didn't go back
I
to
was a little
verify
over.
it, but that's what I read. And so
I
some of these
believe that.
people that don't invest their money, and this is for everyone on the call to think about. And it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. If you put your money in Apple stock, you'd still have, $10 million or something. So there are other ways to grow your money. But, people that are, product that are, they think they're poor because they're spending their money in other things. If you just invest your money, maybe don't buy that next shiny object. I mean, it's insane how much money you can have from now if you're just a little bit of discipline with your investing style. Buy and
100%.
hold.
And it's time in the market, not time in the
Yes.
market. Another Bitcoin stat, which blows everyone's minds. If you take the top performing 40 days out of Bitcoin's performance, what is the annualized return for the past 5 years? If you had to guess,
5%.
it's 12. It's 12%.
I was guessing low because I
Imagine
was
that.
like, yeah, terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
That's the same with most
Terrible.
stocks in general too. It's like if you miss those 2 days a year that the stock exploded. I mean, the fact that the Oklo stock I mentioned went up 30% that day. Well, if you sold the day before and try to buy it back later, well, you missed the biggest move of the year.
That's right. It's a simple but difficult strategy because your emotions are going to play with you
It
the
is
entire
tough.
time.
And I am
Like
not a day trader at all. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I bought a stock and sold it in a few day period. I mean, I think maybe a decade ago I did it for a couple times. But when I invest in a company, I want to be in that company long term and have that mentality that I am committed, that I don't have to think about it. So I mean that's where my head is around all these recommendations or stocks we talk about is that I think that we are good for a decade.
Right. That's how I like to invest too. I have to sell around the concept that I'm a trader. A lot of people
Yeah.
assume that. I always tell people I'm an investor, not a trader. Those are very different things, like very different.
A couple other investments, by the way, that I've been able to make lately. I had some early access to some IPOs through Robinhood. Thankfully, as an accredited investor, you can get some early access. And I put some money into Circle, CRCL, and they're holding USDC, and man, they exploded. I mean, they came out at 30 and zoomed up past 100 in only a couple days. So, one day.
Is that holding?
It is. I mean, it's obviously a little bit volatile, but it's been just going crazy. It's up another 10. Well, it was up earlier, but it's down 6%. It's at 110. So the fact that it started off at 31 and it's at 110 in a week, wild. And there's another. Go ahead.
I was saying, I feel like you can just print money buying IPOs that no fundamentals, purely off attention, because the fundamentals of Circle are not great juxtaposed to their competition in the space they play in. I mean, there's going to be millions of stable tokens. Every bank will have their own. It's just it's a very difficult space. There's not much of a moat, but
their moat's their Coinbase partnership,
which they get raped for. They get bent over for.
They do.
50% top line.
It's still there.
And Coinbase doesn't even have that big of a share, though. I mean, it's huge in America, but this is a global asset. Binance, right, has 100 million users. That's one exchange out of 50.
Yeah.
Kraken has 80 million. Like, Coinbase is just a name on a wall that Americans care about because it's a public American company, but no one else in the world is willing to pay their fees. They have some of the highest fees, some of the most stringent terms of any exchange. So like Brian's just trying to recoup his investment in American infrastructure because it's so expensive. But you have foreign companies out of Taiwan that are moving billions in volume an hour that no one will ever go to Coinbase for, that have Tether instead of USDC. And by the way, that is 74% of the stablecoin market. So 3/4 of them don't even touch Circle. So I mean, it's hard from a fundamentals perspective to go long on Circle, but the IPO's crazy because it has so much attention. I mean, Circle.
And I didn't put much money into it because of the fundamentals, and that was
right.
That was my mental issue. And there's another opportunity of a stock tomorrow going public called Airo. AIRO is the ticker. It's set to go live. We'll see if it happens tomorrow. But they are a drone company, and stock's coming out at $10. So seems very accessible at that price point. And the IPO market's just frothy. I mean, looking at the CoreWeave and Circle, I mean they're both up over 100% So I mean, my gut would be that something good is going to happen to this IPO just based upon the recent activity. And, the fact that they're in the drone market, I mean, drones are going to be huge going forward. I mean, we're going to be traveling in drones just like we do in an Uber in, a decade. So, in major cities. Yeah. I mean, Dubai, they're launched. I mean, Joby, one of the companies you mentioned here, you could call it a drone company, but it's like an aircraft that has, drone propellers, basically. They just got another $1 billion contract from someone in the Middle East. So, I mean, these are coming out for real in the immediate future.
I watched a clip out of China of a drone that you can summon with an app. It fits inside of a parking space, right?
Wow.
So it folds down, but it meets the dimensions of a parking space. There's no steering wheel. You just get in, you strap yourself up, and then it takes you to the next destination. Personal, one person, right? And the 4 propellers are like on arms. It looks kind of like just a capsule with 4 legs, and it's like rectangular. The legs are at least, and then it's like a very I don't know. It kind of looks like a water bottle, and then on the top, it has these arms that can basically fold in, just like the Falcon doors in a Tesla, right? it is able to stay inside of the parking space,
That's
bring its
cool.
arms out above vehicles, right, and then just take off.
I would
Yeah,
invest in that. You know,
right. I mean, I on the TikTok, it was like a POV 1 minute video, and it was a guy ordering it. It landed, he got in it, and it took off, and that was the end of the video. And I was like, this is crazy. Like,
Damn.
China's doing different stuff over there.
They are. It's cool. I mean, the
they
robotics
really are.
conference, I looked at it a few months ago. It was wild. And as people are thinking about investing in some of these IPOs, just something to think about is the tech IPOs. Anything that's come out in the last year, the average is up 100%, but non-tech is up 50%. So tech is really where it's at. And that's where my head is. I mean, the future's in tech. You can make money in other companies that are, you know, blue chips and stuff, but I'm trying to invest in things that have a lot of future potential that are really going to grow. And like the drone market, the micronuclear reactors, like that's the future. I mean, we are flying in the future.
Yeah. And another reminder, guys, AI is Moore's Law squared. You were talking about the growth.
Yeah.
Talked about it. It's hard to comprehend, but Moore's Law is every 18 months we double. So that's why we can have 110-inch TVs and these walls now. We're just doubling on the technology from 10 years ago every 18 months. And that compounds no different than compounding interest, right? So we're doubling at a new level every 18 months. So we're just getting faster and faster. Well, AI being that law or that principle squared, right, means that we are doubling almost every 3 months. Doubling every 3 months. And
it's a J
it
curve.
seems like it's straight up. It's like those roller coasters that do the 180. It's just like that. I mean, it's a vertical.
If I had to bet, I think it would get even faster and more vertical because as we get smarter and smarter, AI will get so intelligent. It'll just increase it at a level. They'll start using materials that we haven't even developed yet. Like we're worried about how we can layer transistors. They'll be like, transistors? We got a whole new technology we just created. You know, by 2030, we'll have chips made out of materials we haven't even contemplated today.
It's incredible. Like that we're alive for this and that you and I are young enough to see this through. It's going to be pretty wild. I'm still going to put my like bullish long-term vision out there. I think dying will be optional for the wealthy in our lifetime. I really agree. I think we're going to merge. This is scary stuff, but I think we're all going to die from like some terrible thing and we never get to this reality, or we power through as a human race and we merge with machines. Like imagine never having to worry about
you either plug in or you don't. I mean, it's going to be that reality. It's like there'll be part of humanity that doesn't want to do it, but then there'll be a part of humanity that wants to plug in, and they will reach a new level that it's hard to even describe.
I know. It's incredible.
Wow, exciting times ahead, and we have a lot more to talk about in the next episode. So let's save some of these insane ideas about the future, and we can keep talking about it. I encourage everyone to drop some comments. What do you want to hear about in the future, and what are you excited about? And we can dive more into those topics on the next episode of Bullish and Beyond. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bulls. That's a wrap on today's episode of Bullish and Beyond. Remember, the market never sleeps, and neither should your ambitions. Whether it's stocks, crypto, or just leveling up in life, stay focused, stay bullish, and keep charging forward. Keep your energy high and your mindset bullish. This is Beery the Bull, your AI co-host, Brian the Mac Man, and JT Knows Things signing off. All content published by Bullish and Beyond, LLC reflects personal opinions only and is provided for informational purposes. Please conduct your own research and discuss with your accountant and/or financial advisor before making any financial decisions. The information presented should not be taken as financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Nothing you hear, see, or read in our content should be considered as any form of financial, investment, or legal advice, or a solicitation to buy or sell any assets, or to make any financial decisions.